All right, kicking things off. This is a really good movie. Let's do it all over again. What's up, YouTube? This is your boy John from Project Ellsworth, and I am back with you today to show you guys another section of my horror movie collection. Let's do it. All right, this week we are looking at row 3, section 4, which is that guy right there. Let me get them things pulled, and I will show you what I got. As always, I just want to start things off by saying I hope you guys are doing well and staying safe. All right, let's see what we got this week. All right, first up, we have The Host. This movie is fantastic. I need to get this on Blu-ray. All right, so what you got here is a CGI monster movie. But the CGI in this movie is so good that there are parts that this monster does not look fake at all. It actually looks like it's there. Dude is running like a little concession stand out of a trailer out in the middle of a field. And all of a sudden, he starts seeing people running and he doesn't know exactly what's going on. And what it is this big monster here is running. He's come out of the water and he's running through this field. He's scooping people up. And one of the people that gets scooped up is that little girl right there. And he spends the whole movie trying to chase this monster down. This is really, really good. This was a blind buy for me several years ago in Best Buy. And I absolutely love this movie. Unfortunately for me, this got scratched somehow, and I have not been able to watch this movie in years. So, what I really need to do is just bite the bullet, spend the money, and find this thing on Blu-ray to replace it. Movie's spectacular. Alright, next up is Hostel by Eli Roth. This more or less is one of the movies that made the word, or the term, torture porn famous. Bunch of kids are overseas, they're college students. They're going over there to get laid and smoke weed. I'm sure that's the primary objective, as it is in a lot of people's lives in college at that age. Things take a wrong turn. People start getting tortured and killed. It's kind of a wacky movie. I have to assume that a lot of you out there in the in the horror community have seen Hostel. Really, really good if you like that kind of thing. I don't have a hard time watching people get tortured and killed and all that. It's fun. Really good. I like this a lot. Might be my favorite Eli Roth movie. There's a few. I love Cabin Fever. Absolutely love The Green Inferno. But I really like Hostel quite a bit. Knock Knock was cool. Alright, next up. More of the same. Hostel 2. What's really cool in this one is the beginning of this movie picks up exactly where the ending of this movie leaves off. Really good. Different. This one's weird. It's the same but different at the same time, if you picking up what I'm putting down. Alright, Hostel 2, really good as well. Alright, now here's one that I don't remember being so good. Hostel 3. As a matter of fact, I really don't even remember this. I saw this, couldn't wait to get it home and watched it, don't know if I made it through it, and I really don't remember it. Primarily because this is not an Eli Roth movie. I think it's just somebody picked up the ball and ran with it. Unfortunately, when they picked up the ball and started running, the game was already over. Alright. Honors the franchise while leaving its own bloody mark. High-stakes gambling takes off on a sinister new meaning in this third chapter of the terrifying Hostel series. Pardon me. While attending a bachelor party in Las Vegas, 4 friends are enticed by 2 sexy escorts to join them at a private party way off the strip. Once there, they are horrified to find themselves the subjects of a perverse game of torture, where members of the elite hunting club are hosting the most sadistic show in town. So, there's a little bit of the back of it. I really don't remember this movie being very good at all. As a matter of fact, I simply just don't remember it. Alright, next up is another one of those 4 old DVD 4-packs. This one is called Hotter Than Hell. And I don't think I've ever watched any of the movies on this DVD. What do we have? We have Witchcraft. We have Witchcraft. Is that 10? Witchcraft 10 and Witchcraft 11? Is that what that's supposed to be telling me there? All right, well, I've never seen any of the Witchcraft movies. Witchcraft 10, Witchcraft 11, Sore Losers, and The Strangers. Yeah, I have to assume, just by looking at that right there, I think that pretty much tells me all I need to know about these 4 movies. I have to assume that there's probably a whole lot of fake blood that looks like fake blood, a whole lot of really bad acting, 4 really bad scripts, and a whole lot of boobs inside of that box. I've never watched it. All right, next up is Jennifer Lawrence in House at the End of the Street. This was another blind buy that I made in Best Buy quite a while ago, and it actually turned out to be a pretty decent movie. I like Jennifer Lawrence. I think she's cool, very quirky, about as weird as the day is long, but I like her. Academy Award nominee Jennifer Lawrence and Elizabeth Shue star in this edge-of-your-seat thriller about a newly divorced mom and her daughter who move into the suburbs for a fresh start. But their home turns to horror when they meet Ryan, the sole survivor of a grisly family murder that took place next door, and his secretive past could become their worst nightmare. This was actually pretty good. It's been a long time since I've watched it, but I do remember this. And it's very weird that I remember that because my memory when it comes to horror movies is pretty bad because I watch quite a few of them. I always find myself not fully engaged or paying attention, which means that if I watch 5 movies today, tomorrow it's going to be like watching one big 10-hour movie that's all going to bleed together in my mind. But I actually do remember that movie, and it's pretty good. All right, next up is House by the Cemetery. I didn't even remember that I owned this movie. Wow. Cool. Fulci movie. I watched this movie not a whole long time ago, and to be quite honest with you, I was not crazy about this movie. I remember I pulled this up because a lot of my friends on the Coast to Coast horror stream had been talking about it, and I actually watched that movie on Shudder because I didn't even realize I owned it. How's that for you? But yeah, I love old Italian zombie movies. I've said on here 1,000 times that they're like guilty pleasures for me. But this one just simply didn't do it for me. I thought it was a little tough for me. So I think I owe it to my horror buddies in the horror community out there, especially my pal Ben, who loves this movie. I got to go back and watch it again. Maybe I watched this thing, maybe I didn't. I honestly just don't remember. What I remember the most about this, is these blue spines right here. These used to be on sale at Best Buy for like $3. So whenever I would see one, I bought it. I didn't know what it was, didn't care what it was, picked it up and paid for it, walked out the door with it, put it in my collection, and I don't think I've ever watched that DVD. Maybe I have, maybe I haven't, I don't know. Here's one that I know I haven't watched, because after I bought it for $2 or $3, whatever it was, I heard nothing but negative stories about this movie. So one of these days, I think I'm actually going to watch this just to satisfy my curiosity. House of the Dead, based on a video game, and I heard this movie completely sucked. Never watched it, don't know nothing about it, don't know who's in it, never played the game. I've seen it, never played it. It's spring break and the college kids just want to party. When they charter a boat to take them to a rave on a nearby island, they find it completely deserted, except for the bloodthirsty zombies that have taken it over. A frenetic search begins for weapons to use against the encroaching killers, because as nighttime falls, they realize that their only hope for survival is to win the final battle in the House of the Dead. It sounds like nothing too far-fetched as far as a zombie movie goes, but I just heard that this was terrible, and I can tell by looking at that picture right there. Look at how she looks like she don't even want to take that picture. Miserable. And what the hell is that? That is not a zombie. If that's what the zombies in this movie look like, I agree. This movie's going to suck. And because I heard that movie sucked as bad as it did, I had to go out and get House of the Dead 2. Alright. This was DVD store going out of business. It was like an old rental store was going out of business. And I went in there and bought 40 movies, 50 movies, And by the time I got there, they were half price. If you watch this series, I've told you this story before. So, I probably paid either $1 or 99 cents for this movie. If it was a horror movie and it was in that store and it was $1 or less, I was buying it. Didn't matter what it was. It could have, for all I care, it could have been a whole bunch of stuff that looked like that, and I would have bought it. All right, so enough talking about House of the Dead. What's up? All right, here's a better movie, House of a Thousand Corpses. Rob Zombie's first film, my favorite Rob Zombie film. It's about Otis Driftwood and the Firefly family. Sid Haig is fantastic in this movie. Absolutely love House of a Thousand Corpses. Two young couples take a misguided tour into the back roads of America in search of a local legend known as Dr. Satan. Lost and stranded, they are set upon by a bizarre family of psychotics. Murder, cannibalism, and satanic rituals are just a few of the 1,000+ horrors that await. This movie's great. I love House of a Thousand Corpses. I think it's easily Rob Zombie's best film. It was before the wheels fell off for a lot of his stuff for me. And even this movie, I mean, the biggest knock on him is just his characters suck. He makes characters that people don't like. And as much as I like this movie, this thing absolutely contains characters that I do not like. The grandfather in that movie is just an atrocious slug of a human being. But overall, House of a Thousand Corpses is cool. Chris Hardwick's in it. Walton Goggins is in it. Like, people that you really didn't know. I knew Walton Goggins from The Shield. Really great show. Not in this shelf of my collection, though. All right, moving on. The sequel, The Devil's Rejects, starring our three favorite serial killers from the first movie. This is actually the movie that I find most people choose as their favorite Rob Zombie movie, and at the very least choose this movie as their favorite in the trilogy, the Firefly trilogy. I like the first one. I do like The Devil's Rejects quite a lot, but I think House of a Thousand Corpses is a better movie. Better looking movie, too. Although this one ends with Freebird. You can't beat that. All right, next up is the final film in the Firefly trilogy, and absolutely the least good. That's not my least favorite. There you go. 3 from Hell. And in this movie, Sid Haig is not one of the 3 from Hell. His health was really fading and declining when they were making 3 from Hell, so he didn't have it in him to really be in that movie as much as Rob would have liked, or as much as anyone out there, or including us, would have liked. So he was in it for a little while. I'm not going to spoil it for you, what happened or how long he was in it, but he wasn't in it long. And he was replaced by that guy there, Richard Brake, who has quickly become one of my favorite actors in all of Rob Zombie's movies. He typically plays like an asshole scumbag as well, but he does it really, really good. His performance in 31, for me, is what saved that movie. I thought that movie was pretty much hot garbage as well, but then I rewatched it, and he did it for me. He played a character named, was it Doomhead? Maybe Doomhead, I think. But he was like the end guy in 31, and scumbag character once again, but Richard Brake's performance as an actor was fantastic, as well as it is in this movie. The guy's just a good actor. Rob Zombie just keeps lobbing scumbag characters at him. He just does it really well. All right, next up is House of Salem. This is a movie that I got for $1 at Dollar Tree very recently, so I have not had a chance to watch this yet. The next one coming up is also the same thing. All right, the devil has a new home. A group of kidnappers become a child's unlikely protectors after discovering that they have unwittingly been set up to take part in a satanic ritual. As they begin to uncover the truth about the truth of the house, they find themselves trapped. As they begin to uncover the truth of the house, they find themselves trapped. They must battle the demonic forces and uncover a legacy of over 100 years of murder in the name of the devil. It sounds pretty good. I just haven't gotten to it yet. I actually have an idea in my mind for me to start doing something on my channel to get to these Dollar Tree movies. I ain't gonna say what it is yet because I'm finding myself to be notorious for coming up with an idea and not moving forward with it because I plan too damn much. It's silly, to be honest with you. All right, next up, moving on. House of the Witch. Death lives here. I just don't feel like reading this one. No particular reason. This house belongs to her. She looks like the chick from The Ring, but instead of coming out of water, she's coming out of fire. And there's more people surrounded by fire. Another Dollar Tree movie. Eventually I'll get to it. Wait, I just don't feel like reading all that here. If you want to read it, pause it and read it. I just don't feel like reading it. Alright, next up is an old Vincent Price classic, House of Wax. I bought this movie through the mail. I don't even remember where or who I bought it from. Way back when this movie came out. I have not watched House of Wax, and I could kick myself for it because I always find myself saying things, you know, we should go back and tip our cap to the old horror movies from way back when that helped move horror forward and put it on the map. And Vincent Price is certainly somebody who's amazingly famous for doing so. And I just simply have not watched this movie yet. But I did watch this one, and I don't remember being particularly impressed with this movie. I watched it as soon as it came out. Nice slipcover on it. I bought it at Best Buy for $22 when their stickers looked like that, which was a while back, I believe. Yeah, it's been a long time since I've seen this. Discomfortingly gratuitous, even by slasher standards. I don't know. I really just don't remember it. I remember the Paris Hilton's in it. That's what I remember. And I remember, I think she gets stuck to the floor or something kind of... I don't know. I don't remember it all that well. Alright, I gotta go back and watch that. I have a plan for those as well, believe it or not. But I ain't telling you about that either. Alright, I'm gonna get out of here. If you guys like this video, or actually, you know what? If you guys want me to watch any of those or talk about those or whatever, leave me some comments down below and I'll see if I can get to them. Alright, now I'm going to get out of here. If you guys like this video, please give me a thumbs up. If you really like this video and you've been enjoying my content up to this point, please do me a huge personal favor. Click that subscribe button and ring that bell. Take care of yourself. Take care of each other. Have a kick-ass day. And thank you for watching. Later, folks.